Hey guys, before we get into the episode, I do want to touch on something that is currently happening in the dance industry, and I felt like this was a perfect episode to bring awareness to the Dancing for the Devil documentary on Netflix. It is about Robert Shin and the cult he has created. I personally have somebody that I've danced with that has a sister. She is in this cult still, and her family is fighting to get her back, along with many other dancers that are still in this cult. It truly breaks my heart because after watching the documentary, it's insane how much Robert turns scripture to benefit himself and to manipulate these young dancers that really don't know better. My heart goes out to the Wilking family. Melanie, I've danced with her, I've done content with her, and she's nothing but a light, and it truly breaks my heart that she has to go through this. Listen, guys, money is the root of all evil. If you grew up in the church, if you read the Bible, you know that money is the root of all evil. So for Robert Shin to be manipulating these dancers and entertainers to steal their money and just to rip them apart from their family, it truly breaks my heart. I have also personally danced for his daughter's music video in the past. Her name is Chloe Shin. I was in her music video. And what's crazy is that you can literally be in this industry and never know what's going on behind closed doors, because at the time I had no idea this was happening, and this was happening right in front of my eyes. Guys, this industry can be so evil. Not just the dance industry, the entertainment industry in general. So bringing awareness to this situation is going to help the entertainment industry as a whole, as well as the people and the families involved. I think all we can do is just spread awareness. So with that being said, it would mean so much to me and just everybody in the dance industry and the families that are fighting to get their kids back. If you could go and click the link in the description, there is a petition that if you guys could just take literally 1 second to go and sign it. One signature means so much. And if you feel like spreading the word a little bit more, you can pay $8 to get your petition out to more eyeballs, which I personally did because I feel so connected with the situation, with the families involved, with the people involved, with the industry that's involved. It's really sad to see this happen in the world we live in the world that I have a career in. So thank you guys for taking the time to sign the petition. Send it to your friends, send it to your family, spread the word. So let's get into the episode about my experience in the dance industry. Hi guys, welcome back to the Unposted podcast. My name is Liz Bezler, and I'm so happy you decided to join me today and tune in wherever you're listening, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever it is. I'm so happy that you're here. Now, if you have been listening to my podcast the last few weeks, you have noticed I have brought on a few guests, and that is, I decided recently, you know what? I have so much that I want to share too. So we're changing things up this week. I am going to do a solo episode. And then the following week is going to have another guest. So we're going to do 2 guests, one guest, and then a solo episode. And then one guest, and then a solo episode. Mainly because, I want to give a platform to people who are online, who are posting, who I feel like can inspire and help so many people, share their real stories, people that aren't afraid to be like, you know what, I posted this and I do this online because it's my job, but this is actually what was going on behind the scenes. So I'm bringing on people that I really think will help you, will help me, literally will help me. I'm using this podcast as like a therapy session for me. If I can get something from it, I know you guys can too. So that's my goal with having guests on is, just realizing that no matter who you are, where you come from, how your walk of life, everybody has things that they struggle with that are very, very similar to their neighbor or to people that you don't even know personally. There's so many people online. We all go through similar things. I am like, right now, I'm not even going to lie, I have stopped and played this podcast probably 4 or 5 times now. I've had to redo the intro probably 5 times, and it's still not perfect. Still in my head, I'm like, I should stop and redo because I'm so nervous. I'm shaking, I'm sweating for no reason. And I'm just talking to you guys. I'm talking to myself. But yeah, it's not all what what it seems like. You guys might look at this podcast and be like, wow, it looks great, but behind it I'm like freaking out and I'm nervous, and hopefully that'll go away with time, because this is still so new to me. This is my 4th episode recording, and it's still new, and I'm still anxious about it, and I'm still a little bit anxious about sharing my story, but I know I've gone through these things for a reason, and I think I can help people. So long story short, let's get into today's episode. Oh, by the way, if you're looking at me and you're like, oh, she's not wearing makeup, I know I decided not to wear makeup because I feel like this could be an episode where I cry. Because as I was like typing my notes and thinking about what I want to talk about, I started crying, like bawling. See, I even like want to cry now, but I'm not wearing makeup because I feel like it would just be a disaster with like mascara. And I don't have waterproof or anything, honestly. I don't have waterproof makeup. So we're going raw and real and all the blemishes out today. But today's episode is about the dance industry, about my experience in the dance industry. And I want to preface this that dance is my creative outlet, and it has been from since I was like 10 years old. Dance has a really special place in my heart. Ooh, I even cry. Like if you don't know me, I'm like the most emotional human on this planet. But if you know me, dance is a big part of my life, and people that grew up with me to this day probably still look at me and think of dance as like my identity, and like, oh, Liz Bezler, my government name, Liz Bezler, is a dancer. But I haven't shared a lot of my experiences in the dance industry. It's hard to talk about. You want everybody to see your life in a very specific light when you are in entertainment. It's like, oh, we want it to look all glam and glitz and like it's the coolest thing on the planet and I'm living out my dream. And while that was true for a long, long time, it's not always like that. And I know I was very blindsided going into the industry. I'm from a very small town. I would look up to people like Delaney Glazer, Jade Chenoweth, like people, Jojo Gomez. Like I would be like watching like all of Brian Friedman's classes. I went to the Pulse Growing Up convention and seeing all these dancers and assistants on stage being like, oh my goodness, like that's what I want to do. And again, let me preface, this is my experience, and I still, like, I have the biggest love for dance and, the industry and the people that come to LA to pursue dance as their career, or New York, or, to pursue dance as a profession. Dance is a beautiful outlet, and I don't think dancers get enough credit. I think dancers are, to me, they're the most hardworking creatives in the industry, and I believe they get the least amount of respect. They train the most and work the hardest. They literally have to train 24/7, like physically, mentally, emotionally, all the time. Like your body is literally your craft. I super believe dancers are majorly underpaid for the work that they do and the respect. I've dabbled in many industries in the entertainment world, and I can tell you from my personal experience, dancers get the least amount of credit. But again, that's my experience. It's not everybody's. Everybody has a different path. Some people are dancers and they die for it, like they love dance, and I love dance. I'm just not a huge fan of the dance industry, which is why I found myself going in different directions. So with that being said, let's get into it. Again, I love dance. No hate on any, like I've met so many amazing people in the industry, but I'm here to share my experience with my path and how I got to where I am today. And dance is why I'm here today. So I can be nothing but grateful for the path and the journey that I've been on with dance. But let's go back. So I grew up competing, and out of the many, many, many years that I've danced, my favorite time dancing was in high school. Oh my gosh. I'm so freaking emotional. I'm so sorry. I will probably break out in tears multiple times in this episode. But my favorite time was back in high school, where I I had this dream of like being a professional dancer and doing all the things, going on tour, being in movies, being in music videos, stage shows. I loved performing. I love dance. And I really worked my ass off to get to where, to get to LA. That was always the thing. Like, if you want to be a dancer, if you want to be in movies, if you want to go on tour, if you want to do this, like, you have to be in LA. So ninth grade, I remember being like, Mom, Dad, I want to be a professional dancer. And ever since then, I threw away every other sport. Any other thing I was like kind of entertaining. I did track. I did softball back in the day. Like, I tried volleyball, like tumbling. I did gymnastics and everything. But I was like, no, I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket and it's going to be dance. Like, I even threw school out of the basket. Like, even like I did okay. I did fine in school. I like got A's and B's, like was a good student. But I even was like, I'm just going to get by in school. Like, it was never like a plan for me to be like college, I want to be a doctor. Like, I knew ninth grade, like, I'm ready. I just want to be a dancer. So that was like all my eggs in one basket kind of a thing. I was like, I don't want to do anything else with my life. Like, I would go to school and think about dance. I would go to my high school dance team practice and dance. And then I would go to like my competitive studio team at Sarah's Studio of Dance in Jacksonville, Illinois. Love you, Sarah. And I would go and I would dance all night, and then I would come home, eat dinner at like 9:30 at night, and then I would go upstairs and like stretch and do like abs. Like, I remember putting my feet underneath my like armoire thing, and I would like be like, okay, I'm gonna do 100 sit-ups every night, just because I wanted to be like the best dancer. I wanted to have the body, I wanted to have the flexibility, I wanted to have the talent, the skill, everything. I would watch dancers online and like mimic them in my room. I would practice freestyling in my room every chance I got. I was literally like a walking dancer. And I know like my sisters were too, especially Emily. Like, Emily's obviously, if you guys know Emily's my little sister. She's an amazing dancer, and she's also in LA. And we would just be like learning dances off the internet. We would constantly be choreographing dances, Anna too, and we would just be dancing our life away. But if you know Emily, she's like literally like a moving like robot at all times. Like, she literally cannot get dance out of her system. So growing up with her, I was like, oh, she's dancing all the time, I gotta dance all the time. But grew up in that environment. Obviously, I was like, how can I get to LA? And I auditioned for the Edge Scholarship program, and I got in, and it was very much like, oh wow, this is my moment. This is the time that I'm going to make all my dreams come true. And I just like look back to that time being like, my dreams are going to come true. Like, I'm going to make it happen. And it's really sad to like see the industry in this beautiful light to then, be thrown in and have it almost like ripped apart. Gosh. Oh no, already starting the tears. If you're not watching, if you're listening, I'm wiping my eyes here. So just give me 2 seconds. So yeah, I moved here. I did the Edge Scholarship program. And again, dance was where I found my friends. So I was so excited to come and like be in a group of people that also had the same dreams and passions as me. It was like the first time like everybody was serious about dance. Like, you didn't go into this scholarship program with like, I'm just gonna do this for fun. Like, this was like, we're gonna get an agent and we're gonna be a professional dancer. And to be surrounded in that environment was really special. I think, a lot of my friends, like, we've all gone our different ways. Some people don't dance anymore. A lot of them do. A lot of them are super successful. And some of them decided to go in a different path, which I am one of those people who decided to go in a little bit different path. I'm still in entertainment, but I'm not like dancing hardcore anymore. But that was like the first time I was like, wow, these are my people. Like, these are the people like from all over the country that did what I did, and they wanted to move to LA to pursue, their dream of being a professional dancer, which I thought was so freaking cool. I was like, I'm around all these like really cool dancers, like, and they're all freaking good. Like, I remember being like, oh, I thought I was good in my hometown, and then I got here and I'm like, oh, now I really need to practice. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I grew up really competitive, and like, I had a chip on my shoulder. I definitely was like, oh yeah, like I get a solo in a routine. Like, by the way, if you're in a hometown studio and you get a solo in a routine, or you're in the back row in a routine and you don't get a solo, it doesn't matter. Literally anybody can be a professional dancer because it's not based on like your skill. And we'll get into that. But if you don't think you can be a professional dancer because you're in the back row of a dance routine and you're not doing a million turns and a kick to your head, that literally doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with how many turns you can do. Okay, just have to say that. You can be a professional dancer. Just be a performer. Be a performer. But anyway, I definitely was like, oh yeah, I get a solo in this routine. And, maybe me moving, to LA, I definitely was like knocked down a few notches. It's like, God is like, no girl, like there's so many good people out here. You're not the best. And I feel like my confidence level just like sank. I've always been super confident. I'm like, I'm going to make it, and I still feel that way. But I also have that realistic, like little voice in the back of my mind, like, oh no, you're really going to have to work your ass off because if you want to be the best, like you have to beat all these people now, not just like the 10 people in your studio. So yeah, I definitely, I would say I definitely like was very confident in high school. But again, I also believe that I had to be that way to get where I am now. Like I would not be in LA doing this life if I didn't have that like confidence, because it takes a lot of self-confidence and like self-esteem to like get here in the first place. And I feel like I just need to get here and then get knocked down, because if I was like, like shy and intimidated whenever I was 18, like I know I wouldn't have gotten here. So all for a reason. That's what I like to say. But it was never like against other people. I've just always been so hard on myself. Like you have to be the best. So I got here. I had 3 other roommates that were dancers. Ari, she's my roommate. We shared a bunk bed. It was like so cute. And like me and Ari is so funny. I feel like we would like go which Ari is still like booked and blessed in the industry, and same with Brooke and Bailey, Brooke Fong, Bailey Swift. All of you guys are like still crushing it in the dance industry, and I'm so proud of you guys. But there's so many others, but those were like my roommates for the first few years that I lived in LA. And yeah, we shared a room. Me and Ari, we shared like a bunk bed, and she was on the top bunk and I was on the bottom bunk. And I think that was the first time like I was out on my own with my dance friends, and just like, wow, I'm living in LA. And it was really a special time. But again, as we were training, it's hard. It's hard not, especially when you're young, you take everything so personally. Like whenever we were in class, it's like you get called out for a solo, and it's like, if you're not called out for a solo, you just like feel like shit. And I remember like going home and like being like, oh, this person got called out for a solo and I didn't. And, oh no, I'm not getting noticed in this class. This choreographer doesn't like me. And those are constant things like, how can I impress these people? And some of the styles weren't even like my style. Like I'm not like a hardcore, like I'm a lyrical dancer. I'm not a contemporary dancer. So like some styles like weren't my thing, and that's okay. But whenever you're in the class with a bunch of people and you're with your friends now, and some of you are getting called out, sometimes it'd be like all of my roommates would get called out and like I wouldn't, and I would be like, why am I taking this so personally? Like it's not personal. Everybody has a different path. But in the time, again, I was 18, 19 years old. Like I'm still comparing myself to everybody. Yeah. So another thing with this program is like we trained so much. Like it would be like every single day, Monday through Saturday, literally all day, every day, we would be in class. And I remember having this feeling like I can never escape work. I can never escape dance. So it would be like, okay, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go to dance, and then I'm done at 2. But like, what am I going to do or like 3 to, the time you go to bed? Well, I'm going to practice choreography, or I'm going to work out more. So it was like, I felt like I was only being productive if I was being active. And I still to this day like struggle with that. Like I'm only productive when I'm moving, and that's not true. Like, I remember being like, I'm only productive if I have my Apple Watch on and I'm burning this many calories and I have this many steps and I've taken this many dance classes and I've worked out and I've run 5 miles. Like, it was like so unhealthy. And I just like remember like coming home from dance and being like, we always were told this one thing: if you're not doing it, somebody else is. So it's like, if you're not working out, somebody else is. And at the time, especially, like, dance was still very much like a body image thing. Nowadays, you know, different body types are definitely more accepted. But at the time, it was like you had to be skinny and ripped or like have muscle definition. So again, you know, I'm in this group of 20 kids dancing and trying to get an agent. And when it comes down to it, like, they are my competition and they are the people that I'm going to be auditioning against to get an agent. And an agent is a big deal in the dance industry. It's how you book your jobs. It's like how you get, it's how you get your career started as a dancer. So it's just hard. It's hard to have like friends, but then also be supportive of them, because now I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm not competing against them, because I've realized like everybody's life is different. But at the age that I was, I didn't realize like, yo, like, that person's gonna do that, this person's gonna do that, this person's gonna do that, and we all look different. Like, even just going back to my roommates, like Ari, she's like a beautiful Persian girl. Like, Brooke, she's Asian. Bailey, she had blonde hair. Like, I didn't look anything like they were never my competition. They were never my competition. Like, and I didn't realize that. It was always like, I have to be better technically at this style. And so it was always a competition. I just remember feeling that way. And I got super depressed during my scholarship year and was always comparing myself, always in my mind. And I wanted to be friends with everybody. I wanted to be liked, but I didn't want to like work too hard, because back in high school when I worked really, really hard, like, people didn't want to be my friend. So it was like finding the balance of like, I want to be a really good dancer and work my ass off, but I didn't want people to not like me because I'm too obsessed with dance. But then I want to get called out in class, but I want people to be my friends. So then I don't want to get called out in class. It's just this constant battle of like trying to please every side. It's like I'm trying to make myself happy and my family proud and my whole town proud, but I'm also trying to be friends with these people. So maybe I'm crazy and that's just how I perceived it. I will beat this into the ground that I struggle with, like, I've always struggled with like comparing myself. But it's not about comparison, guys. It's, you have your own path and you're beautiful, and God has a path for you, and it's not the same as the person next to you, and no path is greater than another. And that's why I have to keep telling myself, no path is better than your neighbor. And just because they get that job or they get that promotion or they can do this one trick or whatever that you can't, doesn't mean that what you can't do isn't special. Everybody has a superpower, and they're all like on the same playing field. Like, you can think one's cooler than the other, but it's really not. Like, everybody has their superpower that they can bring to the table. And I think once you discover what that is when it's a game changer. Like, okay, they can do that, but I can do this. I think we need to shift our mind, myself included. Like, we need to shift our mind. Like, I can do this. This is my strength. I might not be able to do that, but that's okay. I'll work on that. But let me really tap into the things that I'm good at. So, moving on a little bit. Another thing with like being out here for the first time in LA is, you know, I'm such a family person. Like, I literally call my mom like 2 times a day, still to this day. I call my sisters. Like, I'll literally go and like call everybody in my family until somebody picks up, because I just like always want to be connected with my family. Oh, but sorry, again, people listening, I have to breathe because I like get emotional. But, you know, being away from your family too, like, after like, I'm very close with like my family and my siblings, and, you know, they were still dancing and I just felt very disconnected. And it's hard not to have your family. Still this day, like, I live in LA and, you know, I still miss them. We auditioned for, hold on, let me wipe a couple tears. We auditioned for agents at the end of our scholarship year. So we had this big showcase, and then we had
agency auditions. And that was like a big deal. We all got offers. Some people got so many offers. And I remember there was like, I really, really wanted to get an offer from Block and Clear Talent Group, but I didn't get offers from them. And I remember that was like devastating, because like my roommates got offers from Block and Clear and different agencies and MSA. And I remember being like, oh, those are the good ones, you know? And I think people don't realize about agents is it's not about the agency. Like, yeah, you know, this agency has all these amazing dancers signed to them, but it's really who believes in you. And whether that's a single manager or an entire agency, you really need to find somebody that believes in you and believes in your craft and believes that, you know, they're going to push you out there into the world and into the different auditions. They're going to open doors for more opportunities. And again, I want to look better than everybody, or I want to, you know, have the most prestigious agent. That's where my mind went. Instead, it should have been like, okay, well, they didn't want me, so let's look at the 3 agencies that really want me. And I went into those meetings and people were like telling me why I should choose them. And instead of focusing on that and like, oh, these are the people that I want because they believe in me, I was so caught up on, well, why didn't they want me? And it's just so silly, because it's like, no, these people want you. These people believe in you. So you always like, you should want to align yourself in general in everything in life, like with people who believe in you and believe that you're worth something. Like, we should never ever feel like we need to impress somebody. Like, I'm sorry, but if you don't believe in me, then I don't want to engage with you at all. I only want people on my team that believe in me and want to help me reach, you know, my success. So if you don't believe that, bye. But again, you know, I'm like, oh, I suck, you know, and that's what I think. These agents that I really wanted don't want me. So that was a little difficult. I ended up signing with Go-To Talent Agency, and technically I'm still with them to this day. They've never dropped me or anything, but I'm not really dancing the same way that I haven't auditioned in years, guys. Like, let's get real here. But not that I wouldn't be opposed to going to an audition, but I've definitely like shifted my life in a different direction. Go-To was great. I feel like there were very family-oriented vibes, which was good for me. Let me just say that. Skipping over to audition life. So it was like, it's weird. After you get signed to an agency, it's like, okay, now you have to get all these headshots. And I remember, you know, you have to get different kinds of headshots. You have to get like the commercial headshots. You have to get the sexy, you know, showing your body. And at the time I was not proud of my body. I did not like how I looked. So like showing skin and everything in a sexy way, like, was a little bit uncomfortable for me. But that was like what we had to do. And then we had like a third style. It was like commercial Disney, like fitness was one of them. Again, I didn't like my body enough, and I was like, I'm not a fitness girly right now, so not going to do that headshot. So I stuck to like the commercial, you know, the Disney, and did the sexy shots. And of course my agents, you know, everybody says, you know, post your Instagram and your Facebook and your different social media platforms, like that's your resume. And dancers, choreographers, agents, people that want to hire you, they look at your Instagram. They do. And they still do to this day. Like, that will always be a thing. I feel like we will never escape I'm going to check this person out on Instagram to see what they look like. So yes, I have to post these scandalous photos on my Instagram because it's part of my image and my brand as a dancer. And people back at home, you know, oh, are you a stripper now? Like, I've got comments like that. Oh, she's a professional dancer. Oh, she's a stripper. No, sorry, excuse me. No, I'm not actually. This is just part of the industry. You know, if you watch any music video, the females are showing skin. Therefore, I have to have headshots that show a little bit of skin. That's how it works. If you watch any music video, if you go and watch any performance live, even the most PG performance, Taylor Swift, like, they are showing skin. Dancers are showing skin, whether it's like raunchy or not. Like, you have to see your body. So I would get comments from like boys back at home, like, oh, she's a stripper now. Like, oh my goodness, no. And for my hometown, I don't really know if there's ever before me was somebody that really went to LA to pursue dance like I did. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, I know a lot of people have like pursued dance, but I'm not sure anybody has come to LA and really pursued the entertainment industry out here with an agent and everything. Second being my sister following after me. And I know she's had, I should bring her on because I'm sure she has her own stories to share. But yeah, I think a lot of people, again, forgive me if I don't know what I'm talking about, and there is somebody from Jacksonville, Illinois that has come and pursued dance in this world out here. Please DM me and let me know because I would love to connect with you. And I feel like a lot of people didn't understand what I was doing, and that was fine. I didn't even know what I was doing, to be honest. Like, I was like kind of just rolling with the punches. All I knew is that I wanted to be on TV, I wanted to do music videos, and I wanted to do tours, and I wanted to perform, and I wanted to dance because that's all I knew. So all the steps in between, I was like, I'll do anything. I'll do anything to get to that point because that's what I want to do. So you tell me, agents, what you need me to do, and I will do it. So that's what I did. You get headshots. That's kind of just standard. And then we start going to auditions, guys. And this is where, your agents submit you on auditions, and then, you go to them. Obviously, you show up in person with, depending on the type of job that it's for, you dress accordingly. If it's a Disney Channel show, you're going to dress like, bebop, cutesy, young, fresh, bright colors, not sexy. But if it's like, an artist, like a hip hop artist, a rap artist, any live show, music videos, you're gonna dress sexier. You're gonna dress more scandalous. You're gonna show more skin. You're gonna show up in heels. Like, you're gonna have the big hair and the lips and the makeup and the glam. So I remember it was like so funny because I was like 19 and I didn't even know like how to be sexy. I didn't even know how to do my makeup. I was like, what is sexy? Like, I didn't even know how to like move my body that way, to be honest. Like, showing up and like some of these auditions, it's like, I don't even know what I'm doing or how to move like that. So it was definitely very intimidating, especially walking into these, they call them cattle calls, literally, because you line up, you get there's like hundreds of dancers. Back in the day when I was auditioning, there were hundreds and hundreds of dancers like wrapped around the corner with their headshot ready to go. Dance auditions aren't really like that as much anymore. But I lived off the cattle call stage. Like, I'm going to every audition. It's going to be wrapped around the building, and I'm going to be standing outside in these tiny like shorts and like bra with my hair done. And then you'd go in, and when the audition was super big, again, dance is like, it's based off of your look more so than your ability. Obviously, everybody's talented at this stage, but you go in, and a lot of times they'll just line you up in just lines, like line after line after line. And the choreographer or the director or whoever's casting will just go down and be like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, based on solely your look. You don't get to do anything. You don't get to move. You don't get to dance. Nothing. And there were multiple times I got cut. One, I was like, I don't know how to dress sexy for this stuff. Like, I think I know, but I didn't really know what I was doing, like, in that world at least. So getting cut from that, it's like, oh, as a woman and, just in entertainment in general, it's like all about your sex appeal. And so whenever I would get cut from that, I'm like, oh, I'm not attractive. I'm not pretty. I'm not sexy. And to think that way as like, I'm a woman. Like, I mean, maybe I was 19. I still consider that like a child, like a girl. But being a girl, having to like be sexy, but then being told that you're not good enough just based on your look, you take it so much deeper because in the casting director's mind, they're like, oh, maybe we're looking for an Asian girl, or maybe we're looking for a black girl, or maybe we're looking for somebody who's 5'7". I'm 5'3". Like, but I don't know that. So whenever I walk and I'm standing there in this line and they say no, all I'm thinking is I'm not pretty, I'm not sexy, or I'm not good looking enough. So that's where your mind goes. And as I've learned over the years, it's so far beyond talent. It has everything to do with your look and your image. And not just that, it's what they need. Guys, most of these cattle calls, like, they're looking for two dancers that match each other, are the same height on the bookend of this other girl that's already booked the tour, and she has black hair and we want a blonde. Like, it is so far, it's beyond like you're pretty or not pretty, or you're sexy or not sexy, or you have a good body or not a good body. It's like they have to fill one specific role, and it's like an Asian girl, or it's like you have to be like 5 foot, you know? It's like so far beyond just you're pretty or you're not. And I didn't know that. I did not know that going into these auditions, which made the rejection so much harder. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, when I tell you no after no, like literally every audition, I almost like was embarrassed to tell, like I didn't want to tell my mom, hey mom, I'm going to an audition today, because I was so afraid of calling her after and saying, no, like I didn't make it. And she'd be like, well, why didn't you make it? And it's like, I don't know. I guess I'm not good enough, you know? And I remember feeling so shitty. Like, I would just not tell my family whenever I had auditions, because I was genuinely like embarrassed about telling them that I wasn't going to get it, or, you know, and that was like a learning experience for all of us, like for me and my family and my friends that like aren't in the industry. It's like, you know, I went to conventions growing up and I got all the, you know, awards or first place or whatever, but it's so different than that. It's not just on your talent. It's like so much deeper than that. And so I remember having to learn that on my own, and then explaining that to my family and like to other people that aren't in the industry. It's like, no, it's so much, you know, it sounds so silly, but it's so true. It's so beyond your talent. It has nothing to do with your talent. Again, everybody's talented at this point. If you're a dancer and you're in LA and you have an agent, even if you don't have an agent, if you're out here dancing professionally, it's because you're good and you're talented. There's not one person really out here that's, in my mind, a bad dancer. Like, for the most part, if you're out here and you're doing the thing, like, you're a good dancer. But it's just so beyond talent. And coming from somebody who was so competitive, and how, you know, I wanted to be the best at everything, and it was like so confusing. I was like, wait, I thought I was a good dancer. Why am I not booking jobs? And then I can realize that it's so much deeper than that. So much deeper than that. And girl, learn how to do your makeup. Learn how to dress. Like, little things like that I didn't even realize really make a difference. And not just that, I think the biggest thing that I can say, if you are trying to be a professional dancer, you need to get in class and you need to network the hell out of this industry. You need to talk to everybody. You need to make friends with everybody. You need to message people. You need to constantly be in their circle. Like, show up and make connections. Like, not just in dance, in general, like life. I'm not the best at everything I do, obviously. Like, I'm not the best at all, but I'm like willing to, now, I wasn't always like this, but I'm willing to make conversations with people. And even if I'm intimidated by them, like, go up to them and start a conversation. Like, I'm telling you, it's the people that go out of their way to talk to people and make real life human connections are the people that are going to have a job, not just in dance, not just in entertainment, in every in every job, in every career path. Like, make connections. Like, if people like you, people want to work with you. If you're teachable, people want to work with you. So anyway, all about networking. It's about what they need. It's not necessarily about your talent. Yes, train. Don't forget to train, because dancers don't want to train anymore, including, I don't even consider myself a dancer anymore. Train, obviously, but also put your eggs into other baskets, you know, network, figure out your look and your image, like, care about your body, care about the connections and the people that you're meeting and the friends that you're having. It all kind of intertwines into one thing. It's not just you're a good or a bad dancer. It's not that, I promise. So this section, I just want to touch on, like, you know, I said in the beginning, working as a dancer, I feel like dancers are the most, they don't get they don't get respect, honestly, at least compared to the music artist, compared to the actor, compared to the live show, the artist they're dancing for. Like, the artist, for the most part, is, you know, the person people are really, like, giving their attention to. And the dancers are the backup dancer. But come on, artists. Like, I went into music and I love music. And I've been on the side where, like, I had backup dancers. And I remember being like, if I blow up as an artist, I always want my dancers to feel just as important as everybody else. Like, it's a team that makes things come together. It's not just the artist. It's the artist. It's the backup dancer. And the entire production crew, from, like, the lighting to the stage manager to the director to the editor to, you know, everybody in production. Like, it would not work if one person was out of place. So let's just keep that in mind. Just because you're a music artist and you're making all the money and you're the face of the brand, there are hundreds of people behind the face of the brand that make your brand what it is. So I did this job in Vegas, and I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to get sued. But I'm just going to talk about a couple of the jobs that I've done, just to give you some light on the things that I have booked jobs. I've done Netflix, Hulu. I've done artists, big and small. I've danced overseas. I have booked a lot of things in the dance industry. That's why I feel like I can talk on this, because I've had great experiences on set, but it's not even, like, the caliber of job. It's always, like, who is running the show? Who is directing the show? Who's the choreographer? Who is, you know, it's the people that make you feel good, that make you love a job. It's not like, oh, I dance for this cool artist and that's why I love the job. It's who you're working with that make the job special, and the people, you know, that respect you. I've been on, like, some really low budget jobs, you know, just because I want to dance again, or, you know, my friend's the choreographer, and I'll do that, and I'll have some of those jobs are my favorite jobs I've ever done. Some of them have even been unpaid, and it's not because, you know, of the pay or anything that make the job special. It's truly the people that you work with on the job that, you know, keep a job in my mind to this day. I'm like, oh, that was my favorite gig. And 9 out of 10 times my favorite gigs are the gigs that were, like, paid lower, but because I was just having a fun time. Like, it was just a good vibe. I remember doing this one job. I did, like, a show in Vegas, and we didn't get paid. Gosh, I didn't get paid. We ended up going to Vegas. They were going to book our flights, but ended up not booking our flights. I had to leave my car in this random garage. They didn't pay for any parking. I had multiple rehearsals for, like, weeks prior, and they always were like, we're going to pay you at the end. We're going to pay you at the end. They drove us to Vegas, and then we ended up not getting a ride back home the next morning. The show was, like, postponed. Like, it was this crazy, insane experience. I was owed, like, probably, I think it was, like, $1,000 or $2,000. This is when I first started dancing, and I remember I was like, I'll do anything, which was stupid. Don't do that. I remember having to get a ride home from a friend to Vegas. Anyway, never got paid, reached back out. That was just one strike. That was, like, my first, like, oh wow, people really screw you over. Like, people will literally not pay you. And I was like, wow, people won't pay you. People will just completely ghost you. And that's something I was like, oh, wow, you can't trust anybody in this industry. Like, you can't trust anybody. And I've learned that over and over and over and over again. I hope at this, I feel like now I have my guard up so high. I've learned it now that I'm like, I don't think, gosh, God forbid, like, I don't think I can get screwed over by somebody again with money. But people are so shady. And that was like my first time, because I'm always somebody to trust people. I'm like, oh, wow, I can't trust people. And that was really weird for me. So I didn't get paid for this job that I did. And I still have, like, I'm like, ew, like, who doesn't pay their dancers? Like, we were literally your show. Moving on to another shoot. This was, like, a lower budget shoot. And again, because it's low budget, like you can't ask us to do crazy, dangerous things. And I remember this shoot was a music video out in the desert, and it was like over 100 degrees. They didn't have water, they didn't have food. We were like dancing with these smoke bombs, like inhaling these like toxins. And again, it was so freaking hot out. I felt like I was gonna pass out. It was just totally not a good working environment. And the directors being like, again, again, again. And that's why I respect directors so much if they've worked with dancers or no dance, because they know that us dancers, like, we cannot go full out like 5 times in a row, like from the beginning to the end of the song. Like, that's not possible in 110-degree weather. I'm sorry. That is a hazard. That's a safety hazard. So I remember like having to go to the side and be like, I can't do this again until I get water. And just feeling like, well, we're paying you, like you need to do it again because you're here and you got hired to be a dancer. And I was like, okay, so, you know, I've done the jobs where you literally work as a slave. And that same day we went to a second location, like on the beach. It was like on a cliff. And my contact got dirt in it or something. I remember being like, I have to go back to my car to get my saline solution for my contacts because I have to clean my contact because I can't see. And they gave me the hardest time. Well, we're running out of time. You don't have time to go back and do that right now. So I remember taking my contacts out of my eyes, not putting them in, and literally dancing blind on a cliff. Like, and if you don't, I cannot see. Like, I have like really, really bad eyesight. I should probably get LASIK. But I remember being expected to just dance like full out with no contacts because there wasn't enough time to fix my contact. Like, that would have taken like 5 minutes. And it was like, no, we don't have time. We have to do it right now. You have to do this now. We don't have time. You don't have time to fix your contact. And I remember being like, wow, okay, I literally don't matter. Like, I literally don't matter. And after that gig, I didn't dance. Gosh, I didn't dance for like, that's when I got into music after. And I remember telling people around me, I'm done with the dance industry. And I think that job really tainted the dance industry for me after several other bad experiences. Another one was for a very kid-friendly brand, a large company, a very popular channel for kids, if you know what I'm talking about. Not going to say the name. That was another experience where, you know, we had all the food and the crafty and whatever, but we were literally in high heels for like probably like, I want to say like 14 hours standing in high heels, like literally just standing like mannequins with like hardly any breaks. I remember I had blisters all over my feet. There was nothing they could do about it. Like, certain jobs, I was like, damn, like I just feel like a slave. I feel like a slave to these people and their creative ideas. We didn't get tagged in any of the promo stuff that came out. Like, there was just no credit for anything. And it was just like, oh, the director got all the credit because he's a big name, and everybody that made his vision come to life, it was like a passion project. Everybody that made this very big director's vision come to life, like, got no credit, and it was like all his credit. But yet we were standing there literally like slaves all day long, like mannequins moving like to the right one step in these like high heels and dresses. And it was just I was like, wow, this is like a dream brand, a dream company that I've always wanted to work for. And like, this is how it is. Wow. Last but not least, you know, I'll touch on one more. There's so many, there's like too many to count. I did a music video for like so it was like a collab music video between two really popular boy bands. And we were in like a warehouse all day, and it was like 100 and something degrees out. And I was in a turtleneck for like 3 days straight, and it was so hot. They had no AC in this warehouse. Everybody there, from dancers to extras, were dripping in sweat. Yet these, you know, the artists had their own personal fans. They had their coolers. They had everything they ever needed. They had breaks. They had their AC'd RV that they could go sit in. And we were literally like, it felt like we were slaves. Like, it literally felt like we were just there to make their vision come to life, which we are. That's our job. But it was like, oh, can I have water? Oh, we don't have water. Oh, can I have like a fan? Oh, we don't have a fan. Oh, can I step out? I feel like I'm going to pass out. Oh, we don't have time. And it was just like constantly being like, you're here to make our vision happen. So yeah, after a lot of those jobs of just feeling like I'm just a slave. I'm just a slave in this artist's world or this brand or this director's world. I don't matter. And I hate feeling that way when I put so many years and so much literally blood, sweat, and tears into this craft. Like I put so much time into this and like this is how I'm going to get treated. So again, it still to this day has tainted very negative image of the dance industry for me. It's not like that for everybody. Like I'll speak on my sister's behalf. Like my sister eats, sleeps, breathes dance. She's had an amazing experience out here, just with jobs. I know that she's booked so many. She's done the Grammys. She's done movies and so many amazing things. And I'm so proud of her. She has had a very positive experience. So, maybe I'm unlucky. I don't know. Maybe it's not like this for everybody, and this just happened to me, and I had a very unfortunate scenario. Or maybe I'm just sensitive. Who knows? But this is, again, my experience. Wrapping up today's episode, I know I spoke a lot, and I still feel like there's, like, so much more I could speak on, but I don't want to, like, talk forever and ever and talk everybody's ear off forever. But my outro. Here we go. It's not glamorous. It's really not. Like, dance is very hard. The dance entertainment in general, but I'm speaking on the dance industry today. It's hard. It is blood, sweat, and tears, and it really is not your talent. It's your connections and your look, and obviously you have to be talented. I don't want you guys to think like anybody can be a professional dancer. It takes a lot of work to get here. Anybody can be a professional dancer, a professional dancer, but you have to put the work in. You do have to put the work in. But again, networking, showing up, knowing that they're looking for a specific thing and it's not personal. That is huge. Again, everybody's experience is so different. And you can talk to some people and they're like, I love the dance industry. You'll talk to some people, I hate the dance industry. I have a mix of both. Like, I love dance and it's really my creative outlet. It really is a huge part of me and why I am where I am today. And that's why I would never go back and redo any of it. I've learned so much from being a dancer. But yeah, everybody's experience is so opposite and different. I'm speaking on mine and I will like beat that into the ground because I don't want you to think I'm just trying to be negative. I know so many people that have very, very positive experiences in the dance industry. And also, dance is like not a linear path. I told my family, I'm going to make it. And like, that's like a very vague thing. Like in my mind, they knew what that is. I'm going to make it as a dancer. Like I'm going to pay all my bills as a dancer. I'm going to tour. I'm going to do all the things. Like I'm going to make it. And, I feel like I didn't make it as a dancer. I did cool things as a dancer, but I'm not sitting here paying my bills as a dancer. Now, it led me to so many amazing opportunities, and now I do creative direction, and I do social media, and I have this podcast, and, I produce, and I do a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff now. I still do gigs and model and dance and act and all that stuff, but, my passion now has been kind of behind the camera, and I think that experiencing all of the shitty feelings of like being in front of the camera and having these like feelings like I don't matter has really made me want to be on the opposite side of the camera and make sure everybody feels so special and valued, from like the assistant to the first, like the assistant, the director, the dancers, the extras. Like I think everybody is so important in a production, big or small, and knowing how some people can feel so undervalued has made me want to be the person in control of the creative, so I can make sure that everybody knows like you are so special no matter what your role is here, that it doesn't matter. I just want every set that I'm on and I am in charge of, like I want everybody to leave knowing how grateful I am for their presence just being there. And if you've ever worked with me, you know, like, I'm like very loud and I'm passionate. I'm like, come on, do it again. Yes, one more time. Like, I'm like genuinely so passionate about just making people feel good. Like, the energy needs to be like, for me, I'm like up here. My energy's up here when I'm like running a set, and it's because I want everybody to just feel so special. If you have a dream and, you know, it changes, I think that's one thing for me where my dream changed, and part of me is like, oh, did I give up? You know, did I not fulfill like what I was supposed to do? Or like, ooh, I knew this part was going to be hard to talk about. It's like, still to this day, I'm like, did I give up? And no, I didn't. My life took a different direction, and I'm grateful for, you know, my life going in a different direction. Again, it's not linear. Like, to me, in my mind, my 18-year-old self would think making it was to be a touring dancer with a A-list artist. But to me, making it is now I want to run a set and make everybody feel special and have positive experiences with people. Like, people connection is like my making it. If you're going through something right now where you feel like that's your path, and like that is like the path that you feel like that is you making it, just be like open to knowing that that's probably going to change. And just because it changes, or you change a direction, or you change a path, it doesn't mean you didn't make it. And I'm still like accepting that for myself. Like, no, I didn't go on tour, you know? And part of me still holds on to that. Like, could I do it still? When in reality, I know I don't want to do that, but it's like my younger self. It's like, did I give up on my younger self dream? Ugh. And you know what? Maybe I did. Maybe I gave up, but it was for the better. And I think I learned a lot from it. So if you're going in a direction and you feel like it's one way and that's the end goal, and if you don't make it there, then you didn't make it. Life is not like that. Life is like this. Life is a roller coaster. And sometimes you're not meant to be where you think you're meant to be. Like, God opens doors that you don't even know are going to be opened. And the ones that are closed, like, sometimes a closed door, like for me, dance is like a closing door. Now I'm opening a door that is so much more meant for me and my peace and my mental health and my purpose. So if you feel like a door is shutting, that was the door you wanted to stay open, it's okay. There's a door that is going to open that is better for you and meant for you. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. I'm so happy that you guys stopped your day to listen to this. If you're listening to the whole thing, if you made it to the end, props to you. I feel like this one's a long one. I don't even know the time, but I feel like I've been talking a lot. So yeah, if you made it to the end, I love you, and you have a purpose. And just because your life doesn't go in the direction that you want doesn't mean it's not special, and that you're not going to, you know, end up where you want to be or need to be. Things change. You know, you don't have to stay married to this version you had in your head in high school. Like, things change, and who cares if people judge you for it or think you failed? Like, people don't know your path or your journey, and it doesn't matter if somebody thinks you failed. Like, their opinions of you are none of your business. So anyway, guys, that is it for today's episode. Make sure to follow Unposted Podcast on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and subscribe. We have it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And yeah, my name is Liz Bezler. My Instagram is @LizBezler. And yeah, please reach out to me if you guys have any suggestions or questions or things you would like to hear on the podcast. And I'm excited to bring on a very exciting guest next week, so stay tuned. He's definitely a crazy one. It definitely has been through a lot, and not who you guys are going to expect. I think you guys are going to be shocked with next week's episode. So, all right, I love you guys, and I will see you next week. Bye.